research takes a look at the introduction of a biofuels industry in Mozambique. What was the underlying basis for doing this research?
Sure. So at the time, there was a rising interest in using biofuels as a substitute for more traditional fuel use in the transportation sector. And the aim was that to increase biofuel use in order to reduce mitigation in the transport sector. We were specifically interested in looking at using sugarcane for biofuels production because as a crop, it doesn't compete with food demand in the country. So we used the dynamic CGE model to explore the impacts of the development of a new biofuels industry in Mozambique. We adapted the social accounting matrix, which is the underlying database for the model, to include specific information about what a biofuels industry would look like. And this information we got from field studies, and then we also looked at industry studies to try and understand what were some of the potential byproducts that could come from a biofuels production industry. So the results from our study showed that the implementation or development of a biofuel sector in Mozambique would have a positive impact on the economy, on growth as well as on employment. And what we also found is that if you have multiple product chains associated with the industry, such as, for example, electricity production, the impacts on the economy would be much larger. We chose specifically to use the CGE model because we were looking at a new sector that wasn't existing in the economy. And so we wanted to introduce the sector into the economy and try and understand the direct and indirect impacts that the sector would have on other sectors in the economy through linkages, but also the impact that the sector would have on prices, and not only final commodity prices, but also prices of resources, because it's competing for things like land and capital. Using this methodology and this approach allowed us to not only look at the benefits of having a biofuel industry, but it also enabled us to look at the unintended consequences of developing a biofuels industry. Another advantage of using the CGE model is that it combines the production side of the economy with the impact that it can have on households. And so because it was providing us with this consistent framework and simulation laboratory, we could look at the impacts of biofuels production on households from multiple fronts. The two key things that I think are really important in further understanding the impacts of the development of a biofuels industry in Mozambique. The first was maybe a bit unpacking about the potential impact from having an infrastructure or water supply constraint on being able to grow sugarcane and turn that into biofuels. And then the second was being able to look at the impact of the biofuels industry on individual households, specifically vulnerable households.